Dobrodošli, moje ime je Azra Hadžić. Pred nama je novo izdanje Jazeera Svijeta. U 160 dana izraelske snage ubile su više od 31.000 Palestinaca, od toga 12.000 djece. Iza svakog imena je slika, iza svake slike život i priča. Ratni zločini izraelske vojske dokumentirani njihovim kamerama, pljačkanje i destrukcija palestinske imovine te ismijavanje smrti, uništavanja i mučenja zatvorenika. Najvažniji mjesec za muslimane Ramazan u Gazi uz nastavak izraelskih napada, ubijanja i izgladnjivanja civila. U 160 dana izraelske snage ubile su više od 31.000 Palestinaca. U narednim minutama prikazane su fotografije ubijenih svaki dan u napadima do kraja februara. Platforma Jazeera Plus je radila na metodičnom dokumentiranju i provjeri tih žrtava, koristeći podatke Ministarstva zdravstva u Gazi, lična svjedočanstva i informacije temeljene na prvim izvještajima ili potvrdama o njihovoj smrti od rodbine, prijatelja ili novinara. Mjesecima su izraelski vojnici u Gazi dokumentirali vlastite ratne zločine nad Palestincima i dijelili ih na društvenim mrežama. Al Jazeera je prikupila stotine videa i fotografija. 3 stručnjaka za ljudska prava i torturu analizirala su materijal.
There has been a remarkable number of videos posted by Israeli soldiers on social media depicting themselves pillaging property, mocking the death and destruction that they are causing, and most egregiously torturing, humiliating, and mocking detained Palestinian prisoners.
The images of mass arrests, of torture of Palestinians, of numbering their bodies, which is reminiscent of images all of us have seen from Guantanamo and Abu Ghraib. These images are testament to what Palestinians have long been saying, which is that this settler colonial regime is utterly violent. They show the nature through which this genocide is unfolding in the Gaza Strip. They also show the extreme brutality and torture, violence, utter disregard of human life, transforming these violent conducts into a spectacle to be viewed and watched on social media posts.
They lack specific intelligence about who actually might be Hamas, and because they lack intelligence, they therefore are rounding up everyone in order to hope to extract information through interrogation. The fact that they've been stripped to their underwear is, a manifestation of cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment, which is also illegal in addition to torture. The fact that they're photographing these things, it's like trophy shots.
Israeli soldiers have quite remarkably taken to converting their massive, really unprecedented destruction of Palestinian homes, hospitals, mosques, universities, churches, schools, into entertainment videos. There's one video where Israeli soldiers are showing some residential homes that they've set on fire and attached a song. This house is on fire. There have been many images of Israeli soldiers who've ransacked Palestinian homes and confiscated their personal goods. One in particular is the red negligee that appears to be seen in so many Israeli videos where Israeli soldiers are mocking and advertising their very deliberate intrusion of the home of a Palestinian woman, the confiscation of her most intimate apparel, and flaunting that in a way that's definitely intended to be provocative and humiliating.
The videos further reinforce a discourse that is coming out of every sector of the Israeli official machinery, where all Palestinians are the enemy. Many officials have said they deserve to be eliminated. And you see it manifested in that kind of joie de vivre, that soldiers are expressing as they destroy Palestinian homes. And there is a consumption of this kind of image that kind of fortifies the anger, the hatred, the anti-Palestinian sentiment, and the kind of complete disregard of the humanity of Palestinian civilians.
Izvan domovine sve više Izraelaca osjeća stid i odgovornost zbog nemilosrdnog rata Izraela protiv Gaze. 2 žene koje žive u Berlinu, jedna iz Izraela, a druga iz Gaze, zajedno su pokrenule projekt prikupljanja novca za pomoć ugroženim Palestincima, u nadi da će bar malo ublažiti probleme ljudi pogođenih ratom.
Seba was pretty active since the war began, and then I contacted her after meeting her in a dialogue group, and I said I want to do something together. Our organization is called Clean Shelter. What we do is fundraise to finance the construction of toilets and tents in IDP camps in Gaza.
I never thought that at this time of history that we will face this kind of hunger. Like I couldn't imagine that people will be displaced. I couldn't imagine that children will lose all of their families.
Because we've really started small, and because I'm Israeli, most of my networks are from Israelis. So we have a lot of Israeli donations, but we have donations actually from all over the world.
If there will be a rebuilding taking place, and I'm sure there will be a rebuilding taking place, we want to take part in this and make sure it's inclusive and make sure that it's reliable and accommodative, because tents that we are constructing now, they're not gonna last.
I have family and friends in Israel that I'm still really, really worried about, and hope for their safety. I also feel a lot of responsibility and also a lot of shame about the war. And in that respect, I'm really happy for this project with Seba and even for friendship. I feel this is healing in many ways.
Palestinci u pojasu Gaze Ramazan su dočekali s novim izraelskim napadima. Uz to stanovništvo se suočava sa glađu i nedostatkom osnovnih potrepština, a Izrael kontrolira količinu i vrstu roba koje mogu ući u pojas. U Gazi je blizu 30 osoba umrlo od gladi.
Ramazan je mjesec u kojem muslimani poste, druže se, klanjaju i promišljaju o svojoj vjeri. Ali nakon 5 mjeseci užasnog nasilja, stanovnici Gaze osjećaju bol uzrokovanu nemilosrdnim ratom koji Izrael vodi protiv njih. Više od 2 miliona ljudi prisiljeno je živjeti gotovo bez vode i hrane. Izrael odbija dopustiti ulazak dovoljnih količina humanitarne pomoći. Najvažniji mjesec za muslimane ovdje ima dodatno značenje.
رمضان هذا بتصور راح يكون فوق مآسي الشعب الفلسطيني مأساة جديدة وعذاب جديد لأنه الطفل أو العجوز لما بدها تصوم بدها أكل بدها تاكل مش موجود الإشي هذا لا ماديا ولا بأي شكل كان فالأمر صعب جدا وأي إنسان.
Svaki stanovnik Gaze je ili izgubio voljenu osobu ili poznaje nekoga ko jest. Porodice i prijatelji su razdvojeni i ne mogu biti zajedno tokom Ramazana.
رمضان السنة مختلف عن كل رمضانات. أول شيء بعيدين عن الأحبة، أهلنا في الشمال، أخوتنا في الشمال، أصحابنا في الشمال. كل حاجة مختلفة، حتى في السوق مختلف. الرحمن الرحيم.
Izraelski neselektivni napadi uništili su ili oštetili najmanje 184 džamije u Gazi. Uprkos tome, vjera širom pojasa nije smanjena, a Palestinci kažu da će se nastaviti moliti da rat prestane.
Jeste li ikada pomislili kako je medijski pokrivati bijelu kuću? Ljudi se plaše pitati ono što ja pitam. Plaše se načina na koji to činim, kaže Kimberly Halket, dopisnica Al Jazeere iz Vašingtona, i pojašnjava kako je stekla hrabrost postavljati pitanja koja postaju viralna.
I had never set out to be a White House correspondent. I was extremely insecure and very intimidated by the role. I felt like everybody in the room knew more than I did. But, you know, I just forced myself, just like I have in the past, to face my fears and ask the questions that I needed to. In the early days, I would ask questions with my hands shaking. They don't shake anymore. I'm Kimberly Halket, correspondent for Al Jazeera, based in Washington, D.C., and between us, covering the White House is sometimes like being on an island. I thought I was doing everything wrong. I remember early on in my career asking questions and everybody laughed. and I was just mortified. But then I realized that the people I was doing it for, the viewers, really liked what I was doing. I just keep pressing until somebody kicks me out or shuts me up.
Is the president looking at his polling? That's a heck of a question. Let me just stop you right there.
I'm not going for a viral moment.
So you're denying then that there has been an escalation since the Red Sea Patrol?
I totally disagree with the premise of your question.
Everybody was asking their questions, but this woman in the green, she said, you know what? I like problems. I'm gonna choose problems always.
I didn't know who Godiva Goddess was. What I loved about it is that she liked my work, and she went viral herself talking about me getting scrappy with John Kirby. And it just told me, wow, okay, I'm doing something right. She felt the passion that I felt, that he was not answering the questions.
So there has been an escalation.
Okay, again, let me stop you.
I sometimes feel badly that he gets so frustrated with me, because I do like him as a person. I think he is a very smart man.
Made in America, I have answered on the bombs that are going to be dropped.
Sometimes I do pay the price for my bad behavior. One of the press secretaries for Donald Trump, Sarah Sanders, who's now the governor of Arkansas, didn't call on me for 2 years. We've since learned it was because she was told not to. And then sometimes I get blamed for things I didn't do. With Donald Trump's administration, the press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, I was pressing her on something and I said,
okay, you don't want to engage.
And I was falsely accused of calling her a lying bleep, which I didn't. But that did not stop her followers, her supporters, going on just a vitriolic rampage against me. And that was actually one of the scariest moments, because that's when I got death threats. They stalked my daughter on Instagram. I don't really care if people are mad at me, but I do care if they go after my kids. And that really upset me, because I felt so powerless to protect my daughter. And I actually cried because there was nothing I could do. It made me feel really frightened every time I left the White House campus and that security perimeter. I was afraid, because there are guns in the United States, and there are a lot of them, that I might get shot. That one was upsetting because I actually hadn't done anything. Sometimes I think in Washington you have to ruffle a few feathers, because it is so rigid in terms of the structure, and it's designed that way. It's designed to control the message. Jen Psaki, who was the first press secretary for Joe Biden, was outstanding at her job, which meant it was horrible for us. She was excellent at giving you a non-answer, but she also was really good at shutting out the majority of the media. And so she would spend the entire briefing basically going through the first 2 rows and acting like the remaining 4 rows of the White House briefing room didn't exist. And I can only put up with that for so long. I used to shout out things like, how about calling on the back row? Or how about a question over here?
You don't think we all have assignments? We don't have deadlines?
I did start to try and get the other reporters incensed by the fact that they were being shut out. Eventually there was a letter signed by dozens of journalists within the White House briefing room who signed it in protest against the administration and the fact that they weren't calling on a broad spectrum of reporters. And so I felt like I had been successful in helping to spurn that. People are afraid to ask the questions that I ask, or in the way that I ask them. When I'm asking those questions, it's almost like autopilot kicks in, and at the same time, I'm having to do it with an audience. And so it's a very stressful situation, because you know that every word you say is going to be analyzed. And it's a high pressure moment. So I'm pretty nervous. I don't think you ever lose the nervousness. And I don't really want to, because it's performance enhancing.
Izraelski rat protiv Gaze nije zaobišao ni dodjelu Oskara proteklog vikenda. Nekoliko slavnih osoba koje su prisustvovale ceremoniji nosile su crvene bedževe u znak podrške prekidu vatre u Gazi, dok su propalestinski demonstranti blokirali obližnje ceste, pa čak i odgodili početak ceremonije.
Bila je burna noć na 96. dodjeli Oskara s biografskim filmom Oppenheimer koji je osvojio najviše nagrada, ali i prosvjednicima koji su iskoristili svjetla reflektora kako bi skrenuli pažnju na sukobe u Gazi i Ukrajini. Glumci i umjetnici su također iskoristili trenutak preuzimanja nagrada kako bi pozvali na mir. Rami Youssef, koji igra sporednu ulogu u filmu Uboga stvorenja, Poor Things, govorio je o bedžu koji je zakačio za odjeću.
We're calling for immediate, permanent ceasefire in Gaza. We're calling for peace and justice, lasting justice for the people of Palestine. And I think it's a universal message of just let's stop killing kids.
Na pozornici dodjele Oskara stvarni ratovi, oni koji traju i oni iz prošlosti, bili su stalna tema. Nagradu u kategoriji međunarodnog filma osvojilo je ostvarenje Zona interesa. Riječ je o uznemirujućem prikazu obiteljskog života osoba koje su osmislile i provodile holokaust. Redatelj tog filma se u svom govoru usredotočio na rat u Gazi.
Right now we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people. Whether the victims of October the 7th in Israel or the ongoing attack on Gaza, all are victims of this dehumanization.
Someone once told me
20 dana u Mariupolju, film o novinarima koji prate rane dane ruskog rata protiv Ukrajine, proglašen je najboljim dokumentarcem. Oskar za najbolji film, redatelja, glavnog glumca i još 4 druga pripali su Oppenheimeru.
Until they've used it. We made a film about the man who created the atomic bomb, and for better or for worse, we're all living in Oppenheimer's world, so I would really like to dedicate this to the peacemakers everywhere.
S obzirom na to koliko krvavih ratova bijesni daleko od Hollywooda, nije jasno ko može igrati tu ulogu u stvarnom svijetu.
Toliko u ovo sedmičnoj emisiji. Pratite nas i na portalu balkans.aljazeera.net. Hvala za pažnju i doviđenja.